Well, it's just been a wet start to the work week. More rain is on the way. Temperatures stay way above average for this time of the year for Central Oregon, and some bigger changes are expected as we go forward through this 7-day planner. Hey everyone, good evening. Darrell Winninger here. I'm the Chief Meteorologist at Central Oregon Daily News, and across the high desert today, we've been at the beginning of an atmospheric river, so back-to-back fronts will continue to push into the Pacific Northwest, each one bringing its own set of changes, but ultimately we're going to stay in this mild range of temperatures with highs well into the 50s, few 40s, but definitely some 60s even expected through the next couple of days. So let's take a deep dive into your most reliable forecast. Look at what's been happening, what's going to happen, and how it's really going to impact us as we move forward. And to start things off, right now, many of our roads across the Tri-County area are wet, some of them just damp, and these off and on showers have been rolling through. But if we go ahead and just look at a few more cameras, ones that are in higher elevations going through the passes specifically, what we're seeing is that not only do we still have a little bit of precipitation, but we also have reduced visibility at Sandy Ann Pass and at Century Drive on the way up to Bachelor. Wet roads at Government Camp and Willamette Pass. And ultimately through tonight, we are expecting some of this fog to spread out. And what's actually happening is we have this atmospheric river. And I'll show you more about that in just a little bit. But it's keeping that polar jet stream a little bit further to the north, and that's actually bringing us these temperatures that are way above average for this time of the year. Our average high is 42, 43 degrees depending on where you are in Central Oregon. Today, we mostly had 50s with a few 40s and even a couple of 60s, and as we go forward through the next 3 days, we're looking at the potential of getting some impacts way high in elevation. So even these parts of the Cascades, we have Broken Top and the Three Sisters, that's where we're getting the minor to moderate impacts, so not even coming down to pass level. And just for a little bit of reference, the highest elevation pass that we have is Diamond Lake Junction, so that's if you're on your way down to Medford, near Diamond Lake, just to the north of Crater Lake, and that is a mile high. It's just above 5,280 feet. Now, Willamette Pass is also pretty high too, but even Bachelor, at the base of Bachelor, is 6,300 feet. And during the next couple of days, with this abundance of moisture, we're not getting any precipitation down there, not even toward Government Camp near Hood. And that's because our snow levels are just staying way above that. They're going to be ranging between 10,000 and 6,500 feet. And what that means for us is we're just not getting a whole lot of snow. Definitely not in the passes or where ski resorts are, just because those snow levels are so high due to this specific atmospheric river and these back-to-back fronts. Not every atmospheric river and late fall and winter is going to do this, but this one definitely is. So here's what we're seeing. Right now we're looking at visible and infrared satellite imagery that are blended together, and the visible dropped off just a little bit ago. We're seeing straight through that layer, and just looking at infrared. Now, there is a lot of shower activity along this cold front. However, for us on the high desert, the mountains are absorbing a lot of this moisture. What little moisture comes in to Central Oregon is coming in as rain showers, maybe even a drizzle depending on where you are. Now, the next couple of days, we have these back-to-back systems that will be impacting us. So because of that, and this weather pattern, the National Weather Service has a series of flood watches and warnings for the other side of the Cascades, and a wind advisory for Wasco County getting over into Sherman County, and even parts of getting into, Gilliam County, and to our south, Klamath and Lake counties. Pardon me, words are hard today. But we are looking at some wind advisories, but for the most part, all the flood watches and warnings are on the other side of the Cascades, west of the mountains. But when we go ahead and look at everything that we have so far between now and Friday at noon, we can actually back this up to be now and Wednesday at noon, because by Thursday and Friday, rain chances wrap up. That's just how far out this forecast model goes. Where we're seeing that yellow line, that is the 1 inch mark. And notice that that 1 inch mark is coming right through the east slopes of the Cascades. And so just outside of that, we aren't expecting too much in the way of high rain totals, but it is something we're going to continue to track. And when you actually put some numbers on the map, what we're seeing is anywhere between 1/10 of an inch all the way up to 1/2 of an inch of rain is expected through our Tri-County area. But then get up the east slopes of the Cascades, you're talking 1+ inches, some heavy rain on the other side of the mountains. And when we just look at a couple of those numbers, I'm going to go ahead and pull up a new layer here so we can actually add some locations onto here where you're seeing that light red. That is some heavy rainfall, and that's happening through the next couple of days mostly on the other side of the Cascades and through the Santiam Pass. So that is something we're going to be tracking, but that is what this is all courtesy of this atmospheric river that is bringing tons of rain to the other side of the Cascades, really all the way through the Cascades. But we don't really start to see mountain snow until we get to the Cascades of southern Washington. That's where we're starting to see those snow levels come down enough to actually bring snow to the mountains. So here in Central Oregon, we're not looking at much, maybe up to 4 inches at Hood, but even through the Three Sisters, not much in the way of snow through the Cascades. And that's definitely not a good thing because a lot of us would like to start hitting the slopes. And you got to remember, come springtime and early summer, that snowpack is a reservoir of water that's going to continue to melt through the rest of the summer, bringing us the water that we need across the Tri-County area. So we'd like to see a whole lot of snow up there. But the bad news is between now and the next 14 days, we really don't have a good chance of snow. That being said, when we fast forward to the winter solstice on the 21st, we do have a chance of some snow showers, but I got to be honest with you, we've heard this tune before across the high desert through this entire fall. Every time the long-range forecast model guidance is calling for some kind of snow, it hasn't really panned out, or it's been a lot weaker than what the forecast model is showing this far out. So I'm going to be hard-pressed to even show you those numbers of what the long range model is looking at when we get to 2 weeks down the road, just because it hasn't been performing very well at all through this fall. And it could be partly due to the fact that we are in a La Nina and that subpolar jet is just so far up to the north that it's really not bringing that dip in temperatures that we need to really make those snow levels fall. But when we go ahead and look at the bigger picture, what we're seeing here is a whole lot of moisture coming in. This is tropical moisture that's traveling hundreds, even you could even say thousands of miles to get here, and it's falling right over Central Oregon. Now, to the south of that subtropical jet stream, we do have a ridge of high pressure. To the north of it is a low pressure system, and wave after wave of moisture is going to be pushing into the Pacific Northwest. That right there, that huge plume of moisture coming in right into the Pacific Northwest and Southwest Canada, that is your atmospheric river. That is where we're getting this wave after wave of moisture coming right into our neck of the woods. Even looking at water vapor imagery, the closest dry air is displaced well to our south, closer to that ridge of high pressure. And that's because of this jet stream and of the position of this atmospheric river. And so that is something we're continuing to track. But even when we go ahead and look at the other half of this graphic, those white lines, those pressure lines, those isobars are equal lines of pressure or constant lines of pressure. And when they get tightly stacked up next to each other, we call that a steep gradient. And that's what we're looking at right here. Across the Pacific Northwest is a steep gradient coming in. It's offshore flow coming inland. And that's just coming right through the Cascade gaps, bringing us these gusty conditions. So we'll be talking about that more here through the next couple of minutes. But let's go ahead and just look at our forecast model. It does show some light showers continuing through the high desert. Most of the rain staying over the Cascades. Even tomorrow at 7 a.m., the coldest part of the day, we're just looking at barely a mix over the Three Sisters and maybe some snow over the peak of Hood. Going through the rest of Tuesday, periods of PM clearing are going to be possible, but ultimately we get that wave of moisture pushing through. Wednesday brings a little more sunshine, and by Thursday we're less cloud cover, more sunshine, not much in the way of precipitation. So when it comes to relative humidity, Right now, it is damp on the high desert, and we already have some pockets of fog developing in our highest elevations. Look at Sun River. This actual sensor is a little higher in elevation than Sun River proper, and it's closer to Lava Butte, and it's showing 99% relative humidity. So I would not be surprised if we started to get a little bit of fog development there, but we also have some moisture falling in the way of rain. And here through the next couple of days, we keep our temperatures mild. We keep abundant moisture in the atmosphere, and we are expecting some periods or some areas of fog to develop each night. And outside of that, look at this. Temperatures topped out in the 50s with a few upper 40s in our higher elevations and 64 in Warm Springs. And that's really during the last 24 hours. Right now, we're still in the 50s with a few 40s and 61 degrees in Warm Springs. That actually puts us between 3 and 11 degrees warmer than it was 24 hours ago, and we are not looking at a big cool down across the high desert today. In fact, temperatures will be falling back into the 40s. Now, a few 30s are going to be possible, but most of us not getting that chilly. And then by tomorrow, still well above average. 56 degrees as a forecast high. And remember, the average high temperature is 42, 43, depending on where you're at. So we're talking 15 to 20 degrees warmer than average, warmer than where we should be for this time of the year. Now, a quick look at a forecast model, and I am so sorry. That one is not the right one. Let's go ahead and pull it in. Okay, so this forecast model shows us surface temperatures, and it's really just keeping us way above average for this time of the year. That chilly air north of a warm front that's going to be fizzling out or really pushing to the east and weakening just a little bit. But off and on showers continue Tuesday. We're keeping a lot of cloud cover, periods of clearing, and it's still going to be gusty for most of us. Again, highs in the 50s. By Wednesday, that whole system either fizzles out or moves out of our area. We're getting a little more sunshine by the afternoon. Winds breezy at times. And look at this, highs in the 60s with some 50s on the map. So ultimately, we are looking at temperatures picking up even more, topping out in the 60s for highs, with several of us topping out in the 50s too. But that continues to Thursday when we see lower rain chances still in the forecast. Thought I had to sneeze for a second. Lower rain chances in the forecast. So between now and Thursday at 11 p.m., most of what we're experiencing is just a whole lot of rain. And typically, with this map, the blues and reds, the brighter colors, or the blues and purples, I should say, are reserved for snow. But that's actually heavy rainfall on the other side of the Cascades, coming all the way up to the crest of the mountain. So between through the day tomorrow, our school bus forecast starts us off in the 40s, tops us out in the 50s with a few 60s possible, and ultimately we are looking at some roller coaster temperatures, but highs still well above average for this time of the year. Remember, average high 43. We're getting to almost 20 degrees warmer than average for this time of the year by the time we get to Saturday and even Sunday. Now, by Sunday, there is a chance of a little bit of a dip in temperatures, more precipitation rolling back into the high desert, but I'm still not banking much in the way of snow. And for our forecast model, it really shows this ridge of high pressure building into the region. Now, we do have a cold front, but if you draw a line connecting this cold front to our warm front, that's really what's happening, and the cold front's transitioning to a warm front. So we actually get another bump in temperatures by tomorrow. And when we play this out, more showers are expected through Tuesday. They're going to be off and on just like they were today. By Wednesday, more sunshine by the afternoon hours. In and out clouds continue through Thursday. And by Friday, we're into the drier part of our forecast. Really, you could say that Thursday and Friday will be the drier part of this forecast. And then by Saturday, we're seeing another shift in the weather pattern to where our next system is getting a little bit closer. So between now and Sunday at 5 p.m., most of it just rain, a whole lot of rain through the Cascades and further off to the west. Now, when we look at winds, we're actually already seeing those gusts between 15 and 30 miles per hour, and actual wind speeds have been 15 to 25 miles per hour. But look at this. Here through the overnight hours, we don't see winds taper off too much. Wind speeds stay with us across the high desert, coming down a little bit by sunrise and a little shortly after sunset, but we keep breezy conditions through Wednesday at 11 p.m. It's still going to be breezy for many of us across the high desert. So for tonight, we're talking 40s with a few 30s. By tomorrow, 50s with a few 60s and 40s. Still getting a lot of this precipitation in the forecast. It's not till Thursday and Friday that we get that in and out cloud cover. Wednesday, we start to clear late in the day, but temperatures are going to be topping out in the lower 60s and upper 50s Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's not until Sunday that this next system starts to roll in, the next active weather pattern, bringing us another brief dip in our temperatures back into the 50s, though, still keeping us 10 degrees above average for this time of the year. So ultimately, the next couple of days will bring a few changes. We still have a mild December. More rain is on the way. Periods of clearing are expected between these waves of moisture, these different fronts, but temperatures are staying unseasonably high. So are those snow levels. Remember, snow levels for most of this week between 10,000 and 6,500 feet. That keeps it well above our passes, well above the ski resorts that we have through Central Oregon, and it's still going to be gusty for many of us with some clearing each afternoon, a little bit more, especially once we get closer to Thursday and Friday. So when it comes to satellite and radar, we just do not have much to talk about. A whole lot of cloud cover, a little bit of shower activity with some bigger changes ahead. So join us tonight on Central Oregon Daily News. We're going to be live at 6 on CBS, it's 7 on CBS, and then after Monday Night Football on ABC, as well as we'll simulcast on ABC and CBS at 11 o'clock. Join us. We'll see you then.